Hey guys, welcome to the channel, Sunny here. This video is going to be our evasion guide for PvP. I get the question all the time, how much evasion do I need to be tanky, or should I build evasion, or can I build evasion? And today we're going to explore that subject. We're going to check out how you figure out how much evasion you need and if it's worth doing for you. Let's jump into it. First things first, a big shout out to Garmoth.com for making this tool that we're going to be using today for the PvP evasion calculations. But most importantly, a massive shout out to Big and Shiny, who is the guy behind the entire formula, the actual math and calculation and testing. He is the reason that we can even do this today. I'm going to be leaving a link down below in the description for both Garmoth.com, the homepage that I'm using, and also Big and Shiny's Twitch channel. Go and follow him, drop a sub, he deserves it. So I've made a build here that I'm going to be using for the evasion testing today. And I chose a Zork. And the reason I chose a Zork is because I get the questions all the time about what class can build evasion, etc., etc. And Zork is one of those classes that most people will tell you to build DR and go with damage because you have the iframes and you can basically avoid taking damage, so you don't need to prioritize survivability as high. However, Zork is also one of those classes that has the best evasion modifiers in the game. So if you want to build tanky, you actually can. So it comes down to playstyle and preference, and also what do you want to accomplish? Do you want to be an assassin or do you want to be a disruptor? And basically figuring out how you want to build and what you want to be strong against. Both things can be an option. So we're going to explore that today. First off, when you make your build in here, make sure you go and add all your journals. We're not going to be using any food buffs today. We could make food buffs for attacker and defender, but we're just going to leave those off for now. This is just to show the concept and how you use this page to figuring out your buffs and how much you need to feel real tanky. Also go under passives here. Make sure you enable all the passives. We're going to be running with an awakening build today because why not? And we just enabled them all. Very important because sometimes there are some accuracy or evasion buffs in there, and I know that just is one for Zork. So we enable those real quick, we save, and we go into the gear builder here. So I've made a couple of builds. A lot of the times I get the question, how much evasion do I need before it's worth using? So I made a pin setup here with C5. A lot of times you'll hear people talking about C9, and it's very, very good, and I made another one for that. Never use evasion gear if you are TED gear. You can go with like the last piece, it's fine, but evasion, you will not be able to get enough evasion until you go into the pin gearing with cafe levels. So for TED gear, always DR, but when you switch into pin gear, I'm going to show you now that you don't need as much as you might think before you can actually get some real tangible benefits out of it. So we have a couple builds here. I've tried to make the gemming very balanced, so we're not going like full tank gemming. We're actually making a balanced setup. And for evasion builds, we went with Viper in the gloves, evasion in chest. This is the most important gem, the Jinn Harpiers in your helmet. They are an absolute must in evasion builds. And we just went with Hooms in boots, Hooms in awakening weapon, Elcars and corrupted. Just all around basic and just all around good. It's going to keep your offensive pressure and also give you survivability where needed. And we keep this gem setup in all our builds. Now the next build we got here is full C9 with a C19 Heath helmet and a C4 Kudum. That's the only change between those two builds. And we got a third build here where we're building upon the C9, and the only change here is just using a sizzle necklace. We do have a final build here, which is full C20, full pin everything. And I'll show you some interesting stuff with this one at the end when we're talking super late game in builds. All right, for the offensive side of things, I am using my tester build here. And we're going with the Musa build that we used in the accuracy guide. Check that out, link down below. The reason for Musa right now is it's pretty much flavor of the month, and we'll just use that for now. But if you want to use something else and you know this is the class that gives you problems, or you want to be able to survive this or whatever, you can make your own build, choose your own class, check out the modifiers, and you should be good to go. So again, we're using the full human damage. We're using a balanced build here, normal gemming with accuracy Vipers. And then we are using a build here, C9 with a Taurus belt. I've also made 2 further builds. So we have this one down here, which is a full in-game C20 AP build, still using only a Taurus belt, but full out on damage. And we made another build, similar, but using the Dawn earrings instead of the Destos. And we'll test these 2 builds up against the full C20 at the end. All right, so let's jump in here. Let's go to the evasion build. The way you check out your hit, your evasion, you go here, PvP hit calculator. Now you want to make sure that you are the defender in this case. So when you come in here, it's going to look something like this. The attacker, we're using now the tester. And over here, I got my evasion test. So we need to fill out stuff. We know on the Musa build from the accuracy testing, we're using the 4% accuracy skill add-on and the 4% evasion debuff. We have the 19% accuracy with the 9% buff and the 10% average on your abilities on Musa. So we're keeping those. We could add in the e-buff if we wanted to, that's 15%, but we'll pick it off, we'll take it off for now. Over here, now becomes the interesting part. For ourselves, we will always try to keep up the 4% evasion self buff. We can try to put on a 4% accuracy debuff on our skill add-ons. I don't normally include it because it's not always you're going to keep it up, especially if you get caught and you get CC'd and comboed, then you might not have it up. But keep it in mind, if you know you consistently land your debuffs on your target, you can debuff the enemy's accuracy as well. But we'll leave it off for now. Now, when it comes to the evasion self buffs, I went in here on BDO Codex and I looked up Zorks. And for Zork, we have a 15% self evasion for 5 seconds. It's a 5-second cooldown, so we can keep this up permanently. On top of that, Zork has a 15% evasion buff on the E buff. So for Zork survivability, we'll be adding in 15% self evasion over here. And already you can see with C5 evasion, you have a 45% dodge rate against a full C9 305 AP Musa. That is really good. Now, of course, this build right here is pure human damage. So if we take a look at the more balanced gem setup with accuracy builds in it, it goes down to 33%. That is still massive. Think about the 401 DP bracket. That gives you a 30% damage reduction. And we all know that that's pretty powerful. In effect, you have the same damage reduction just in another source with evasion, which stacks with damage reduction, with C5. Now, if you go down here to the C9 setup, that number jumps up suddenly to 38%. Now, these 2 builds are pretty equal in gearing. Now, if you want to throw on the Sizzle necklace, just 1 evasion items, you now have a 45% dodge rate against an equally geared opponent, which would go up to 57 if you went full human damage. So we'll take out the other ones here as well. We plugged in with the accuracy. I think this one here is the more balanced build, so we're going to go with that. This is also a very expectable build at these equal gearings. And you can see we're around 33% even if he's using a Taurus belt. Now, if we go all the way down and we put on the full in-game setup, which is not even the full, we could go Centaur belt swaps in and all that, and a full AP gearing, you still have a 38% dodge rate. Now, what becomes interesting is if you go all the way in on accuracy, it is still 28% against somebody attacking you with 3 accuracy accessories on a Zork. Now, if this is good enough for you, that's up to you, of course. Does it fit your playstyle, etc., etc.? And you might think that, well, this isn't that much, it's only 28%, but it's 28% dodge rate against somebody that's building specifically to kill you. If you watch the accuracy guide, you'll see that a build like this is completely overkill against anyone that isn't stacking evasion. So while people would be able to deal really good damage against you in super endgame as well, realistically, they aren't going to build for it. So you will be surprisingly more tanky than you think you will be. So should you build evasion, and how much do you need? Well, hopefully now you have the tools to figuring out how much you need and how much you want to get into your build. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'll answer all the questions on these videos, or join the stream. I stream several times a week at Twitch TV/BiceptionalsPrime. Until next time.